Welcome to Tabo Eminent Channel. It's a fascinating topic. Psychology, neuroscience, and even philosophy all have a lot to say about it. Let's break it down into the secret connections between dreams and reality that researchers and mystics alike point to. Here's a story-style take on the secret connection between dreams and reality. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel. On a quiet winter night, a young woman named Alina slipped into sleep, unaware that her mind was preparing to blur the lines between her dreams and her waking life. In her dream, she walked through a vast library whose shelves stretched beyond the horizon, each book glowing faintly. She opened one at random and saw scenes from her own life, conversations she had forgotten, decisions she had never made, and moments that had not yet happened. The dream felt impossibly real. She could smell the paper, feel the warmth of the lights, and even hear whispers echoing down the aisles. When she woke, fragments of the dream clung to her like threads: a name she had never heard, a place she had never visited, and an idea she could not shake. Over coffee, she scribbled everything down. Hours later, while walking through her city, she passed a small cafe she had never noticed before, the exact name from her dream hanging above its door. Inside, she met a stranger who turned out to be a partner in a project that would change the course of her career. Alina's story isn't unique. Throughout history, dreams have been a secret workshop for the mind, a space where reality is reassembled, tested, and sometimes foreshadowed. Our sleeping brains process emotions, rehearse decisions, and mix the past with possible futures like an artist blending colors on a canvas. In that way, dreams and reality aren't separate worlds but overlapping ones. While we're awake, our minds gather material; while we're asleep, they rearrange it into patterns that might teach us, warn us, or guide us. The secret connection between dreams and reality is that they're both stories we're living, one written in daylight, the other in moonlight, and sometimes, if we pay close enough attention, the two stories meet. Elias had always been a practical man, the kind who trusted numbers more than intuition. But one night, he dreamed of standing on a bridge as the river below turned into a mirror. In the reflection, he saw himself not as he was, but as he might be, older, weary, but smiling as if some heavy burden had finally lifted. The following days were ordinary, yet details from the dream began to seep into his waking world. A colleague used the exact phrase he had heard whispered in the reflection. The same bridge from his dream appeared on the cover of a book in a shop window. Even the scent of damp stone from that dream seemed to follow him after a sudden rainstorm. As weeks passed, he realized the dream was less a prophecy and more a mirror of choices he had been avoiding. The bridge symbolized a crossing he needed to make in his life, a career change he had feared, a truth he had refused to admit. By showing him his own reflection smiling on the other side, the dream had given him a glimpse of the peace waiting for him if he dared to step forward. Dreams, Elias came to understand, are not just illusions. They are secret messages coded in symbols, pieced together from memory, emotion, and intuition. They whisper what reality tries to hide, nudging us toward the futures we're too hesitant to imagine while awake. When Elias finally made the decision to change his path, he felt as if he were walking back into his dream, only this time, he was awake, and the reflection was real. Mira often dreamed of a train that never stopped. It wasn't an ordinary train; the windows glowed like lanterns, and the passengers inside wore masks of animals: wolves, owls, and foxes. Every time she boarded, the train carried her through landscapes that shifted impossibly, deserts melting into oceans, cities crumbling into forests. For years, she thought nothing of it. But one afternoon, walking home, she heard the low rumble of a train in the distance. Something about the sound struck her as familiar, and when she looked up, the station sign bore the same strange word she had seen in her dreams: Solene. Curious, she stepped inside. The station was quiet, nearly empty, except for a musician playing a tune she couldn't place. Yet as the melody drifted through the air, Mira realized it was the very same song the masked owl had once hummed in her dream. The coincidence startled her, but it also sparked a new awareness. Perhaps her dreams were not random illusions but fragments of a reality her waking mind couldn't yet see. The masked passengers, she began to think, might be parts of herself, instincts, memories, unspoken desires, all boarding the same train, moving together toward a destination she hadn't reached. That night, when she dreamed of the train again, she didn't wake before the last station. This time she stepped off. She found herself standing on a platform under a sky full of stars she had never seen but somehow recognized. In that silent, luminous space, she felt a strange peace, as if she had finally arrived at a place she had been heading toward all along. When Mira woke the next morning, the dream stayed with her, not like a fading shadow but like a quiet certainty. She realized that sometimes, our dreams don't just mirror reality, they prepare us for it, guiding us toward truths we are not yet ready to live but soon will. Jonas had a recurring dream of a locked door at the end of a hallway. Every night, he walked through dimly lit corridors lined with portraits whose eyes seemed to follow him. At the end was always the same wooden door, its surface carved with symbols he didn't recognize. He would try the handle, push against it, even knock, but it never opened. When he woke, the image haunted him, though he could never explain why. One evening, while exploring an old part of the city, Jonas stumbled upon a small antique shop tucked between two tall buildings. The air inside smelled of dust and leather, and on the far wall hung a wooden panel, carved with the same symbols from his dream. His chest tightened. The shopkeeper noticed his fascination and explained it was part of a door from a monastery that had burned down decades ago. Jonas touched the wood, and a chill ran through him, as if the dream and reality had collided in that instant. That night, the dream returned, but this time the door opened. Behind it was not fire or shadow but a garden bathed in moonlight, filled with flowers that glowed softly. In the center stood a fountain whose water reflected his face with startling clarity, though older and calmer, as if time itself had leapt forward. He woke with tears on his cheeks, unsure whether the dream had shown him the future, or simply the peace he longed for in the present. Jonas came to believe that the locked door symbolized all the fears he had refused to face, choices avoided, truths buried. Reality had presented him with the key in the form of that wooden panel, nudging him to unlock what his subconscious had been holding shut. The dream was no longer just a strange vision, it had become a map, guiding him toward the life waiting on the other side of fear.